welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Frivolity. It's Brian here. Our weekly Broiler Chicken Show. Bark, 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 bark. Hey, you like that one? But we have an official intro here, so I don't really have to work too hard on the whole, hey, wake up. Hey. So, and it looks like we got some of our regulars over there on YouTube. Great to see you guys, Nora, Adam, Mama. Hey, we got Mama here. Mama just killed a man. Put a gun to his head. Pulled the trigger. Now he's dead. All right, who knows what song that is? Let's see if you guys know your music trivia. Anyway, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Frivolity. Of course, I can't sing it all, so don't go by off of the the tone. But Ozzy, actually, yeah. Oh, that's like, Mama, I'm coming home. Sharon, where's my Viagra? I'm being silly. No. Actually, the singer's initials were FM. So there's a nice little, hey, there you go. Constantine knew it. All right. Anyway, good to see all of you and our regulars back in the saddle. I hope you're, thank you, Fred. Yep, you're right. I hope you're back. Everybody's feeling optimistic. I'll try as hard as I possibly can to try and make a positive difference in everybody's life. There's not a hell of a lot I can add to the equation, but hopefully my simple TA and rhetoric helps you on your journey. You know, as you've probably seen with these videos here, we have to be a little bit crisper with just the simple fact that we're not going to be giving you investment advice. I don't think that that's actually even in anybody's best interest. I mean, hell, you listen to the people that are theoretically in the know about their predictions of where the economy and society and stuff are going to go, and they couldn't be more blatantly wrong, unless, of course, that was their plan from the beginning. So is it in any of our best interest to get into the habit of predicting the future and saying, you know what, you got to buy this thing, it's gonna make you $1 million? No, actually, it's not. It does mean, though, however, that I do understand the viewership of these kind of videos isn't really that high. I don't really get into the shill. My gift to the world, if you will, is that I have worked in the financial services industry for many decades now. I've done just about every job you possibly could do in the financial services industry. Research, retail, operations, trading. There's not really much you can throw at me that I haven't seen or heard of before. And you know, you think as you're going through learning how to become a trader that the mistakes that you're making are actually pretty unique to yourself. The irony of it all is, no, they're not. This is why it's critical that we do things like in our library. We have a whole bunch of really cool trading tools, but one trading tool that I insist, especially when traders get to sort of or more advanced stage of education and want to become day traders and stuff, is you have to sort of mirror yourself to this demon finder concept. Because ironically enough, I mean, first off, look at all the different ways that you can screw this darn thing called trading up. I mean, you can screw it up a lot of ways. So in a weird sort of way, to be a really good trader, you actually have to be kind of like a perfectionist, which is very difficult. I mean, we humans, we're not built to be perfectionists. If anything, we're built to say, you know, hey, you're only human, right? I'm sure that's exactly where the expression comes from, because we keep making mistakes. And hey, you're only human, right? You're not a robot. So I think that the value that a guy like me is going to bring to your lives is I've been down this path many, many times. I have a pretty good idea of what it takes to succeed at this game and what are the usual common pitfalls that most new people to this game fall into. And, our education program, those kind of the things not to do is probably a better way to describe our education program. And also too, what I want to do here is I want to show you how to effectively build a small business of trading with the expectation of actually making money from this. So that's really where the value of an old gnarly guy like me comes in. I hopefully and constantly demonstrating trade strategies, trade setups, different risk management approaches. And really at the end of the day, I will never tell you that I'm going to be 100% right. It just doesn't happen. Even for the best of traders. But hopefully what you see, especially if you can, if you were really serious about educating yourself, and we have had some people that have literally gone through and watched like years of these broiler chicken shows. I've been doing this for like 5-10 years now. I mean, it'd be interesting just to add up all the hours of these free Sunday shows we've done over the years. It has to, well, I would easily say, there's 50 weeks in a year. Usually these shows are a good couple hours. Most times, actually, I don't really take too much time off. Even when I was on vacation last year in Portugal, I was still doing these shows. How the hell does that happen? So, and actually, I'm long overdue for a vacation. So don't be surprised if I take a week or two off here in the not too distant future. In fact, I'm really excited. We had a on Fridays on the site for sort of the paying members, and also I suppose also for the 30-day trial people. We have what's called an Afterparty show, right? So we do that free 30-minute sort of summary for YouTube, and then we do the Afterparty show, where what I like to do on Fridays is pull in a site veteran, even industry veterans that are not even on the site, and just have a nice conversation with them. And on Friday, this past Friday, we had an awesome conversation, and the feedback was so cool. We had Zugi Sticks, and now I know where the name comes from. So we also got a bit of education on what the hell a Zugi Stick is. Anyway, we had just a great conversation with Zug on John on Friday. If you are a site member, for heaven's sakes, you've got to watch that. That was just uber cool. But anyway, the point is John, for fun, he likes jumping out of airplanes. I mean, gee whiz. And I think he and our show director, Chris, are going to hook up in the Chicago area sometime this summer. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just going to literally hop on a bus or an airplane, whatever the hell it takes, and go and join them. And maybe the three of us can all jump out of an airplane together and get it on film. Wouldn't that be cool? I think that would be so freaking awesome. So that actually might be a really, really good thing for me to try and shoot to do here this summer, and a little bit of a vacation. So by all means, if you're in North America, and yeah, I know Stoned over there, he was Mr. Ape was a fantastic host. I was up in northern UK there visiting Robin Hood's castle and all that. And he was my host while up there. And man, I fondly think about our time together, Mr. Stoned or Mr. Ape. I'm not quite sure how it goes. By all means, if I swing back over to Europe, I'll definitely come, because Bobo, he loves for when I come in. Raf and all those guys, they love when I come. So It is definitely on the docket to do. The question, I was telling the guys earlier, I'm starting to see some really motivated sellers in Portugal again, and some really cool places. I shared a video in the hangout here before we got this YouTube page going. Well, there's one place that's owned by a bank right now, and they would like to get it off its books, and the prices are actually getting very attractive. Anyway, so lots going on, but the point here is, I'm not going to tell you what to buy or sell. I'm not going to do it. Sorry. I am going to try and demonstrate how I trade the various different setups that I teach through the education program. My bread and butter setups are a range setup. We affectionately call the El Tangonator, but hell, I could be calling it the Kenny Roberts setup. I learned it like 30 years ago when I was first trading commodities with him. And then the bot setup, which is a trend continuation setup. And actually, it's interesting because in Bitcoin, we actually have examples of both working right now. So not only do I think we went through a transitional window from going from like uber bullish to topping out and now correcting on a very normal seasonal basis. We've already worked our way through the initial part of that correction. And now what I see happening is trend continuation setups are starting to develop that should take us down into price objectives off of the higher the range setup levels. So hopefully I can show you what I'm talking about here today. As well too, this is just a general message to the site members. And everybody who watches this show regularly should understand this. And this isn't really rocket science, nothing new. I'm not quite sure how to get this viewership up, but I would absolutely love if we could have like hundreds of people watching this video so we could get the message out. What am I doing wrong? Like all you regulars, Nore, Stone, Adam, Fred, Constantine, Mama. I don't know whether you're a regular or not. But what is it that I'm just doing wrong here? It doesn't make any sense. In fact, we had an outside consultant come and talk to us. And he said, these YouTube videos, this is actually a waste of your time. It's a waste of money and it's a waste of time. I don't know why we just can't get the viewership up here. I just don't get it. So there's Kat. Kat's actually a new member of our community. So thanks, Adam. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is that a backhanded compliment? Anyway, so if you guys, you're regulars, right? And I guess the idea is, are there anybody else in the state of California that might benefit from getting to know TRI Adam? Must be. Anyway, I'm not quite sure what we're doing wrong here, but maybe it's more of this just talk and not some specific message that like I thought it was really interesting. I was watching YouTube videos and stuff through the weekend, and there was one headline that was like the headline was, "It's the end of the fucking world and this is going to happen." And then you watch the video and there was no reference to end of the world. There was no reference to any sort of big climatic event happening. So it's like total bullshit. It was just basically a lie. I mean, is that what we have to do to get people to actually watch this damn video? I don't get it. Anyway, I like the karmic path that I'm on here. And I do like how we're, the message delivery is wrong. But anyway, and I suppose half of the problem is, right, well, Brian, you're sitting here talking 20 minutes about nothing. Anyway. Okay, so moving on. As you can see, this is our sort of Ask Me Anything document. I actually like the idea that it should just be a running document that you could, if you wanted to, cross-reference to previous Broiler Chicken shows. Like at any given point in time, you should be able to pull up the Broiler Chicken show from that particular week and then look at the questions, and away you go. What I will say here is this is your opportunity just to ask me something. So if you are on the site, this show originally was specifically, my intention was that the Sunday show was a dovetail to our level 1 program that is taught on Sundays with Grim. And if there was a question that maybe you had about a particular week's topic that maybe either Grim didn't have enough time to get to, or maybe you felt like the answer was insufficient, you had the opportunity to circle around and ask me again. So I think today's the 21st, right? I think that's right. And in fact, I think this is a holiday weekend as well, right? Something like that.
It is indeed the 21st. And I don't know if you're talking
Yeah.
about American Memorial Day, but I think that's next weekend.
Oh, okay. So if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a holiday weekend in Canada, in my country this week. But it used to be like in Canada, of course, you guys wouldn't celebrate it, but in Canada, being part of the British Empire, all that bullshit, it was called Victoria Day holiday for Queen Victoria. I suppose now, do we have to call it King Charlie? Oh, God. Talk about a change of times, eh? As soon as Elizabeth died, that was an end of an era. Anyway, so if you do have questions, right? I see there's one question here, but if you do have questions, please hop on the document, ask. After I go through sort of the Bitcoin summary, which I kind of think is a good habit to get into on the weekly basis. The level 1ers should be out of class by then. I think they're still in class. Shark Toshi is very good at sort of letting us know that the level 1ers are done. We might see Grim on the call as well. Then we'll jump into the Q&A. We might have some more questions asked by the students. If you are on the site, if you are in the level 1, 2, 3, or 4 now program, we've got an option spread sort of level 4 program working on the site right now, and Zach's totally killing it. And I'm actually super excited because I've had this interactive brokers account that's just been sitting dormant. I haven't done anything with it. I got a bunch of money in there and it's just collecting interest. So I'm not really in a big hurry to go and blow the account up. But with all that interest, I've got now a little bit of a risk cushion window. So I feel like I'm going to take some of that interest income that I've earned and go and literally do some of these strategies that Zach is teaching and tutorializing on the level 4 program, and I'll sort of have them live for the site in my own personal accounts. So I'm super excited for that. I got to tell you about that. That really, and actually, I'm also seriously thinking about Zach wants to get an app up and running to do options screening. And so I volunteered to look into using ChatGPT to basically instruct us how to build the app from absolutely scratch to an actual app that you can bring to market. I think it should be a really interesting experiment and an interesting application of this AI stuff. So maybe look for that down the road as well. Super excited. One thing, in fact, there was even another gentleman on Twitter today. The one thing I have to say that over the past 10 years is I have had the privilege of a lot of really, really good people come into my life, and I'm learning from you people how to be a good person. I still need a lot of work, I guess, but I tell you, like, people like having Zach in my life. He's such a good person and good karma, and Chris. And there's a gentleman that he did a little bit of a relocation, and he was away from the site. And geez, I sure missed him. But it was awfully nice to see him back on the site again today. So that really put a big smile on my face. So thank you, all of you, for being in my life. Now let's see, how the hell can I make a positive difference in your guys' lives? And then, of course, at the end of all this, just if you have a question, it could be anything in the market. feel free to pop it on this AMA document. I think Chris put it in the lounge, so it is there if you want to add a question. And we'll come back to that when I'm done sort of the regular sort of general commentary of the market. So every week, I think a huge part of our audience is crypto related. I got to tell you, it's interesting to watch how Big Brother is just slowly closing all the doors on crypto, eh? I thought it was fascinating today. As you can see from this weekly price chart, I am starting to think that the market is rolling over. But we've had our very normal seasonal rally. This is what's supposed to happen in capitalism. This is the kind of stuff that only like a 30-year market veteran's even going to be able to tell you. Most of the kids that are brand new to this space, well, I'm a technical analyst. I've been trading for 2 years. Okay. Well, sure. When I first got into the business, I remember there was this one broker dude. He was totally insulting to me, but it makes sense. And frankly speaking, I'd say the same thing to all of you. Until you've actually worked in this business for one full market cycle, and in crypto, good part about it is the market cycles are about 4 or 5 years in duration. But until you've actually gone through one full cycle from beginning to end, or halfway up to halfway up again after a full correction, you don't really know anything. You think you know, but ironically enough, most of the public, they just get played. And it's kind of sad how capitalism works, because public is always most bullish at the top when they're feeling most optimistic about life, when job and economy and bank balances and probably personal life, sex life, family life, everything's going great. And market is, interestingly enough, in the stock market, we often used to say that the stock market is nothing more than just a reflection of how society feels. So if society feels rich, and if society feels like it's good times, well, you're probably going to see the stock market just booming. And conversely, if the stock market is tanking and prices are selling off, it probably means that society in general is not feeling very optimistic. And of course, substitute drama teachers don't make our lives any easier. I suppose what I've seen here is, I think, actually an incredibly normal market behavior. Not only with the fact that we had some incredibly negative events hit the market. This is your beloved Sam Bankman-Fried joke event, and I suppose, I don't know whether that was Luna, but it might have been. I can't remember, or maybe Luna was back up here. And then there was like Celsius and Three Arrows Capital and all that crap. And then, of course, when we get down to the levels down in here, oh, Bitcoin's going to zero, it's the end of Bitcoin, all that kind of talk. And literally, as soon as you start to hear people talk that way, we're actually very close to some sort of bottom. A little piece of trivia. Let's see. We'll mind the audience here. Please hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you can be notified when we do an update. But what is the one thing that you often hear about at market bottoms, that, and when it comes to Bitcoin, it makes it really, really easy, that is just the perfect tell that we are very, very close to some sort of bottom? It's pretty easy. So let's do a poll. Most of you, I don't even have to go on. I mean, our little German bodybuilder, this guy probably could bench press 4 or 5 of me at a go. So not a big surprise. He got it right off the bat. He's very good, but nobody else, eh? You notice that, Nori? Nobody else. So if you don't know that, for heaven's sakes, someone like Kat, you're relatively new to this game. You are going to actually have to go through this, and you're going to have to actually see it happen in real time for you to actually believe this. But dog-eared, today's journal notes. And hopefully you all have your journals out and you're feverishly taking notes as I'm blabbing away here. But make a note that when you hear people talking about 51% attack potential to the blockchain, especially with regard to Bitcoin, we're probably within weeks of some sort of major pivot event. And sure enough, last fall, especially after the stupid SBF crap, we started to hear that kind of talk, which actually surprised me a bit, to be honest with you. With Bitcoin only at about 15, 16 G's. I would have thought that talk would have started at a much lower price, but it is where it is. Anyway, so we have an old expression in the pivot back to the upside. So we started to get our Bitcoin's going to zero, 51% attack talk down in here. And so what you, as a market savvy market technician, you have to say, whoa, as soon as I start hearing those people in the public start talking like that, I have to start closing out short positions and I have to start thinking about going long. And really, remember, I was an old commodities broker. I mean, I actually was a licensed commodities investment advisor. And God, I'm almost tempted to go back and get all those licenses renewed. But as I told somebody recently, I'd either be blabbing away to you guys on YouTube and on this site and in this school program and all that kind of stuff. Well, I don't know where I'd rather, but I'd either be doing it with you guys here, or I'd be doing it on the phone with clients, or in a bullpen with an audience, or in front of a stage of prospective investors. So, it doesn't really matter where I am, but point is I'm here now. So when it comes to Bitcoin, this is such an easy way for you to create almost kind of like a cheat sheet. So anyway, the reference to being a commodities broker was that is basically how you value something like gold, how you value something like oil, how you value something like wheat, how you value something like unleaded gasoline. What does it actually cost to make it? And when I say make, with something like gold, it's what does it cost to actually pull it out of the ground and actually get it to a finished product that you can sell into the marketplace. Those are usually the basis for commodities prices. I've made the argument all along, and I don't think anything's going to change here. I believe Bitcoin is, as a POW, proof of work asset, it is a very, very good illustration of a commodity, fixed supply, validation of the network. As you have all seen with the way these governments, and it's not so bad in the United States, all Americans watching this, at least there are some checks and balances in your society. But like a country like Canada, this parliamentary government, whoever is prime minister is basically a despot. They can do any old damn thing they want. And this guy that has absolutely no experience in the financial services industry, and who has a lady who has been put in charge of the finances of my dear country, has absolutely no experience in the financial services industry. And her big concern about inflationary pressures in our society is whether maybe her family should maybe stop subscribing to Disney Plus channel. I mean, that's the extent of her sort of knowledge as a financial services industry expert. And she's the finance minister and deputy prime minister of my country. I mean, it's absolutely baffling how bad it can be. And these people are despots. There's nothing you can do to stop anything that they're doing. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Anyway, so if anything, I'm very envious of you Americans. And I will say, hats off to the Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives trying to hold these socialist despots to some sort of reasonable behavior. But like I said, in my country, it just doesn't exist, and it's embarrassing the hyperinflation that's happening in our society because of it. They don't even realize they will after the fact. Prices will get ripped higher. I mean, if anything, what these socialists are doing should be absolutely music to any Bitcoiner. They are basically guaranteeing that Bitcoin will go to $1 million. Not because Bitcoin is so awesome, but because the value of the dollar is collapsing in front of our eyes. I've joked with you guys before, and I hate to sound like a wet blanket, but don't be surprised. I mean, I went to the grocery store just the other day, and the loaf of bread was up 10% in just like 1 week. 10% price increase. You're not supposed to be able to do that just willy-nilly for a loaf of bread. And I keep in mind, I'm a cheap ass, so I buy just like 100% whole wheat, basic no name loaf of bread. I'm not going to buy the fancy schmancy name brand crap. So if I buy the name brand stuff, holy crap. I mean, it's laughable, the value of our currency is just collapsing here. Which, of course, like I said, this is music to Bitcoiners' ears. And actually, I did find something interesting that some people are saying that, if anything, you probably don't want Bitcoin to become like part of the Lightning Network and be used in payments and stuff like that, because the Bitcoins themselves are so damn valuable. You really don't want to be just giving these things away. Because I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin down the road is $100, $200, $300, $400,000 a coin. Wouldn't shock me one bit. But we're talking about today. We're talking about here in the present. So here in the present, I mean, keep in mind, this price is a doubling. So would it make sense now that we're sort of outside this seasonal window? And especially since I do believe that, sadly, everything in this society has now become quote unquote securitized. Would it be in Wall Street's best interest to do, of course, the seasonal shill and make a bit of money pumping up Bitcoin prices? In the regular broadcast that I do on the site, I do talk about options expiry and the way that the 1% uses the options market as a way to get around the SEC and regulation. And these assets are stunningly manipulated around these options expiry events. In fact, I thought it was hilarious. I can't remember who it was. It might have been, anyway, I don't know. I can't remember exactly who it was, but it was absolutely the most perfect thing I saw. Because keep in mind, I mean, this gentleman, he works for Joey Diamond. You have to understand that. He actually is the bitch of higher ups in our society. Don't kid yourself here, folks. I think a lot of people in the United States have sort of felt like, oh, well, these guys at the Fed, they're above this system. They're working in the best interest of the American public. Bull fucking shit. They are working in the best interest of the people that employ them, who are the banks and the banking industry. So, and of course, the banking industry, which was really interesting because after the Great Depression, the banks were encouraged to get the fuck out of the stock market because they end up fucking everything up. And they were encouraged to get out of, the speculative part of the business. And when I first got back in, well, not back in, maybe I was in it in a previous life, I don't know. But when I first got into the industry in the early 1980s, I guess middle 1980s, my first job was 88, so latter part of 1980s. There were no banks in the brokerage industry, none. They weren't allowed to. But the cocksuckers went and sort of weaseled their way back into this industry year after year after year, and just kept pressing and kept pressing and kept lobbying and kept lobbying and kept lobbying. And under George Bush Jr., basically the capitalists just ran roughshod, and the banksters and all that crap would just ran roughshod right over all of the old regulation, just swept it all aside. And now basically the banks it's so deep that this guy now actually looks at the banks as, when I look at a bank, I think of like, the easiest analogy I can think of is I like playing this silly World of Warcraft thing. I go in there and kill stuff, and it's a great way to sort of distract me while I'm in a trade. And in that game, you have like a bank, and you can go to the bank and deposit stuff, and you don't have to carry it around with you while you're in the game, and it's that it's going to be there if you want to come and access it later on. That's what a bank historically was. But in this guy's world now, banks are not that. And in fact, he would actually prefer that banks not have deposits. And if anything, all of the banks now have been supremely punished for having deposits, like Silicon Valley Bank and First National Bankrupt, or whatever the hell you want to call it, whatever the name, the latest bank that's blown up. Half of the reason why they went under was because that they had deposits from customers, and like suckers, they did what they were told by this guy and by Janet Yellen. Oh, go and invest, buy US Treasuries. It's the most secure asset ever. And of course, they got absolutely destroyed by doing that. Terrible, absolutely terrible, 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 terrible. So, I mean, I think nowadays we actually need someone to come out and actually define what the hell is a bank? What does a bank actually do? Because I don't think they even want customer deposits. And what's incredible is if you ever like have money at a bank and you go and you want to withdraw a whack of it, it's almost like, well, we don't have any money. What are you talking about? I remember I wanted to take a couple grand out because I was going down to the States. I live just right on the border. And I wanted to have some pocket money. And I swear, I think I had to wait like literally like an hour or two for like a couple grand in US currency. And I had a US bank account there. So, oh God, what a fucking world we're in. So anyway, the point of the matter here is I thought this caption was absolutely perfect. My job is to make sure as many options expire worthless as possible. Why? Because I work for the banksters, who are the 1%, who are the people that I keep talking about to you guys. And like the only reason why I tweeted that out was because of these kind of tweets. I mean, it's absolutely stunning, the robbery that these guys pulled off here. This is the value added part of our education program. Nobody anywhere in the interneting is ever going to teach you this. And it's shocking why nobody teaches you this. Nobody. And yet it is so brutally blatant what Wall Street does on a weekly basis in the options market. And it's fascinating. When I try and point this out to the public, it just lands on deaf ears. It's remarkable. So, and it's so ironic that these guys have the audacity to actually get angry at crypto for some of the bullshit that they do. And they know perfectly well what unregulated markets are like. In fact, I would even argue half of the problems that you see in crypto are probably derived from these bankster people behind the scenes. Because crypto is unregulated, they can do any old damn thing they want. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Joey Diamond who sunk Luna. It wouldn't surprise me one damn bit at the end of all this. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Holy rhetoric. What the hell is this guy talking about? No wonder you have no viewers. You're just too damn venom filled. There I am. That's me right now. How do I look? If I do a side profile, do I look even? Actually, I guess which direction do I have to look? Yeah, I think that's it. Do I look sort of like him? I did say that if they do take UBIT to like the old all-time highs, if we see UBIT go to all-time highs, I will dye my hair purple. And I will smoke a big fatty on YouTube while my hair is being dyed purple, just for all of you. That's my Sedona Euphoria reference, if anybody remembers Sedona Euphoria. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. And of course, this kind of stuff doesn't help. Oh boy, that's going to get Brian all triggered. Anyway. Okay, where were we? Oh, Brian, Jesus, gonna keep going off on tangents. No wonder nobody likes you. All right, so, hopefully you look at this image and what you see is big up, then down, then up, but not to new highs, then down, or basically a letter of the alphabet. Hopefully all of you look at that and go, geez, that looks like an M. And I suppose if we pull that chart up itself, right, and change this to a line chart, boom, there is the M. And I hate to say it, folks. I mean, ironically enough, with technical analysis, the simpler you keep this, the far more better off you are. So what I always tell people, because this is really simple to remember, if you ever see the market smiling at you, be careful. So that smile was confirmed when we closed right in this area. So I would make the argument that the correction is already well underway. And as I said, this is actually an incredibly normal market occurrence. If you've never heard it before, write it down. There's, in fact, it even started in the commodities business. And if Bitcoin is a commodity, then there's no reason why Bitcoin wouldn't follow this. But there's an old adage, sell in May and walk away. And actually, you can see a bunch of commodities are looking extremely heavy in here right now. So ironically enough, it's probably less to do with actual Bitcoin fundamentals. And it's everything to do with just the very normal seasonal nature of the market and the fact that this asset, just like every other asset in our society, has now been officially securitized, which means Wall Street gets to play their games, options expiry bullshit and all that, at their leisure. And I can absolutely tell you without a shadow of a doubt, we are nowhere near the cost of production to produce one Bitcoin if you are a miner of Bitcoins. Nowhere near it. So they could play, in fact, hell, I would even make the argument, and we had one site member, actually I talked to him recently, so it was really good to see that he actually resurfaced again, but let's see if I can just find it for you here. He put together this script, which I thought was so incredibly valuable. And by all means, if there are new equipment, and actually, Shane, if you are watching this, maybe we need to update this. The only problem is I got to find the darn study. I have so many charts, and every time I do these videos, that same thing always happens with you guys. You can see the last time that we actually updated this was March 2020. So this is now getting to be a few years old. But the script, I think, is still uber valuable. But here are some of the cost of productions for various different mining equipment. I might make the argument that something like an S17 is now probably obsolete. I don't know whether we've gone beyond S19s. Is there an S? It seemed logical to me because of Moore's Law and all that kind of fun stuff that we should probably have like S21s, S23s. I don't know. For some reason, they seem to like to move in odd numbers. So I'm actually thinking that maybe this is even out of date, but I wouldn't be surprised if like the most cutting edge equipment it gets lower and lower and lower as we go because, the equipment's faster, it's more efficient, less energy use, blah, blah, blah. So I also put out a few different studies. There's one company down in the States that uses nuclear reactors for their energy needs. And they said that their cost of production is like $7,000. I don't know whether that's accurate or not. That might just be for their energy. It might not be corporate overhead. state taxes, federal taxes, regulatory fees, professional fees, accountants, lawyers, securities and exchange filing fees, all that kind of crap. Maybe you find that after all that's said and done, their cost of production is 10, 20 G's. I could easily see something like that. And then I do remember, I think it was back last fall, I put out a tweet from one company where they said their cost of production was down under $10,000. So just be aware. I don't think that there is an exact number that, if we're above this number, great, everything's hunky-dory. If we're below this number, oh, sky's falling. There's obviously different players that have different cost bases. So the question ultimately here is, who are the weak players? Usually the weak players, they get flushed out of the business. It's just the way it goes, right? Marginal players get marginalized. So the point being that here we are up here. Remember, we had sort of this smatterings of 51% attack when we were down here. If we did see price come back down against these lows, we'll probably get that conversation back up and going again. So Nuri says Antminer S19 XP. So that's this one. Hydro. Is that the next? Is that another version? Hydro? I don't know. Anyway, like you can see the numbers that Shane has assumed here for this X19 XP. Everybody, of course, debates with us about the electricity cost for these things. Some people say this is too high. Some people say it's too low. I'm not really going to get into this. These are the numbers that Shane put together for this. But by all means, Nori, if you know that you're saying that there's another this XP Hydro that's come out. If you happen to know what the numbers are, the hash tera hashes per second or whatever, we could always add another one on here. But my hunch is if we add another generation, it's just going to bring that cost lower even still. So if anything, Nuri, maybe you could reach out to me in tomorrow's daily brief after party, and maybe we could even hash that out, no pun intended, and get that on this image as well. And by all means too, Shane, if you're watching this later on and you're familiar, in fact, I'll even write on this, we'll say note, peeps, that's you, Nori, saying newest miner is S, what the hell did you say? S19 XP Hydro. So I'll keep that in mind and see if we can add that to the matrix here. And as I said, in fact, you know what? I'm even going to send this to Shane now and just get his feedback. Hold on a second. Where is he? I know you're in here somewhere. There you are. So I'm gonna say, hey. You heard of X19. What the hell is this thing called? Nope, no, I got it wrong, didn't I? S19 XP Hydro. See what Shane has to say there. I do see someone posted a request in the daily brief request. If you could just throw that into what do you got here? KK says something here. I would love to hear the explanation. This coin in timeframes. What does the different SRSI mean? Interesting. How am I going to do this? I guess what I'll do is let's just take a screenshot of that and we will plunk that into here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Where the hell did that go? Over here. We will dump this over here. Oh, cool. Right. So we'll go 3. All right, so back to the rant. Let's try and get back on topic here. So are we at cost of production? No, I think the past 5-10 minutes talked to you a little bit about that. We have bearish market structure working here. Usually bearish market structure is the last thing that we're looking for to sort of be the icing on the cake that, yep, this market probably has reversed. So the first thing is trade location. So would I want to buy an asset that's already doubled in price? Probably not. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually a good short. And I actually, because there is so many bullish things on this chart, I actually like the idea that pullbacks are buying opportunities. I've talked to you guys a lot about this recently. We built this totally cool crypto screener. I think it's an excellent sort of base to approach the market. We do, for posterity, we do run an algorithm that's trading away, and all it does is it just buys and sells. Right now, I'm doing it manually, and it's a pain in the frickin' ass because the signal comes in at like 9:30 p.m. my time. So that means just as I'm sort of getting settled down and wanting to go to sleep, I have to pay attention. I might have to do something. And you can see the last signal that was issued was a buy. And what the hell? The little portfolio is up 65% since December. So we must be doing something right with this. But the point of the matter here is, and I've asked specifically, one of the big goals that I want to see by the end of the year is that this is automated. And we had some interesting meetings recently with the team. And I really want to bring this home. By the end of the year, I'd really like to see this as a sort of an add-on to your crypto dashboard, that if you'd like the automated signaling systems to basically tell you when the system is buying and when the system is selling based on things like the breadth indicator, then that should be an opt-in product that you should be able to subscribe to. So, I've never been closer. You know how that conversation goes. But anyway, so you can see our last signal was back in April, and it's been a very choppy ride. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You can see that's where the signal was. It's 26. And the crypto market was stunningly oversold through that, which is fascinating. Bitcoin itself really hasn't done a hell of a lot, kind of a lot of sideways, some up, the position was looking great, then some down, the position's underwater, but really all I'm doing is I'm just following the signals from the algo. So what scares me here though, is if we do get back up to overbought, and then we do start rolling over in earnest, look out, things could get ugly. One thing I did notice, though, is that the stock market itself, you can see there's like a war going on in the market right now in the stock market. And really that makes sense. It's May. If you were going to be a bear and you were going to sell seasonally and head off to the Hamptons, this is exactly when you would do that. So it doesn't surprise me. The only problem is this isn't really the best level. I would prefer that the signals come in when we're down here. And unfortunately, you can see the histogram. We just don't have the data on here from prior to March. And it's on the to-do list. We got to get this done. But anyway, the point of the matter here is we have pretty good stock market buy signals back here about the middle of March or so. And, that set the stage for the recent rally that we had. Actually, I want to see a really cool application of this dashboard signaling system. I was taught years and years and years ago, and especially if you think about the market being oversold below 20 off of the breadth, and if we had the histogram here, and you see here for the stock market we were heavily oversold. I'm sure I could find the image from you somewhere. We had at the same time too, I have a whole bunch of these are signaling systems that I've got the team to build that I've used over the years. And of course, I'm a huge fan of what I like to call key reversals. And actually, just for fun, I just went in and said, if you had just taken these signals, and keep in mind, this goes all the way back to like last November. So you can see there's not a hell of a lot of signals recently. And you just said, let's follow the last 5 bull and bear signals. And how did they do? That was this tweet that I put out. And I got to tell you, man, this is pretty slick. So these are the bull signals, and you can see huge buys there in Amazon of all names. Federal Express. This is a semiconductor company. Wow, look at that move here just in the past week. Huge move. This is the actual NASDAQ stock market. Huge buy signal. Of course, if Amazon's going to be running up, then obviously the NASDAQ stock market's going to be booming. Interestingly enough, the only one that's sort of floundering right now is actually Hong Kong, which is fascinating. I don't know whether I'd really want to invest in China. I've told you guys all repeatedly, you're just asking for trouble going and putting your money to work in a totalitarian dictatorship, because they don't give a fuck about us in a different country. I mean, they really don't. Don't kid yourself. And I hate how we in the West were like spoon-fed this. Oh, China's our friend. And oh, well, if there's problems, it's all cultural. So no, they're not being racist. It's cultural for them. Whereas we can't say a single fucking thing boo about them. Oh, you're a racist. You're a racist. You're anti-Asian. Oh, but they can wolf diplomacy and all that crap. I mean, you want a really good lesson in how China works, Google two Michaels, TWOMICHAELS. Really, really good analogy of how the Chinese think of us in the West. It's all tit for tat, and it's all stunningly corrupt, stunningly corrupt. So it would have been a tough pill for me to swallow to take this trade. But nonetheless, these are weekly price charts. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks after that bullish signal came in. That's 2.5 months. The Hong Kong market just was grinding its way higher following that signal. Could we see 10 weeks of higher out of these guys after these signals? And then maybe the market rolls over. I could see that. That wouldn't surprise me. Then on the bear side, and this is fascinating because, what is this? This is tech. This is who delivers Amazon's good? FedEx, right? So, interestingly enough, FedEx in a weird sort of way is actually a tech proxy. That's a semiconductor company. That's the actual NASDAQ 100 ETF. So, clearly tech is getting a lot of money thrown at it right now. But then you go and look at the rest of the economy, and this is where we're getting into sort of this K-shaped new age economy, where, in the 1940s and 1950s, they called it the Nifty 50 stock market, where there was, yes, the stock market boomed higher. And I've shown you guys repeatedly what this is going to look like. I suppose I could take a moment. I don't know. Are you guys enjoying this, or am I wasting everybody's time? I should probably get back to what I should be talking about, which is I have no idea what it is. Where are we? Cycles. Millennials. I think I called it one of these. It might be this one. Yeah, here we are. So, no, actually, this is not the right one. Right, this is what you see in the newspaper versus reality. Are you a blue pill kind of person, or are you a red pill kind of person? Anyway, that's not the image I wanted to share with you. Where did I put it? I know it's in here somewhere. Where are you? Well, let's try this one. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. All right. So, what is this sort of, great reset? All that bullshit. I think that we're basically at just about here. And in the 1940s, they went through their respective great reset. And I think that that's basically what they're doing to us right now. And interestingly enough, through the latter part of the 1940s, and I even heard somebody else the other day saying it, that they're already front loading that the inflation numbers through the latter part of the 2020s are going to go absolutely crazy. Which again, as I told you before, I could very easily see 100, 200, $500,000 Bitcoin, but it's not because Bitcoin, $500,000. It's because the dollar is worthless. And you go to the grocery store, it's going to cost $500 to buy a loaf of bread. We are heading into the Weimar Germany days, folks. Now, one thing I will say is that this Mr. Powell guy, he is sort of making man, I'm all over the goddamn map here. Let's try and stay on focus. Okay. So these tech stocks and tech are going to be the Nifty 50. Now, who were these guys? How did this happen? Where, this was the Great Depression. How the hell in 10 years do we go from, hey, buddy, can you spare a dime for a cup of coffee to, woohoo, look at us, it's a huge bull market, we're all getting rich. Well, not really. Everything, that cup of coffee went from 10 cents here to $1 here, or basically add a zero onto the end of the price tag of everything. So are you going to see that in stocks where, the Dow's like, 20,000 or whatever, sort of some mean number is right now, and currency falls by 10. So now the Dow gets bid up to 200,000. I could see that. Wouldn't shock me at all. And it's not necessarily that the companies are so much better. It's the currency itself. The purchasing power of the currency is just collapsing. And I think that they're setting us up for exactly the same thing here. There's no difference. Same shit, different plow. It's almost a little sad, really, how cliche all of this really is. So don't be in a big hurry to get rid of your Bitcoins. Bitcoin's probably one of the very few assets in our world here right now that is actually going to work as a hedge against all that insanity. And it's such a shame. It really is. And I can't believe how they just completely cannibalized our purchasing power of our currencies. And like I said, you people in the States, at least you've got a little bit of a sort of a give and take. I mean, in my country and over in Europe, there is no give and take. I mean, is there any check to that Christine Lagarde? Has anybody at any point in time whatsoever said, Miss Lagarde, I think we should debate your policies and what the banks are doing here. I don't think this is actually in our best interest going about this, just diluting the crap out of the currency by printing money like drunken whores. There's just no debate. It's not even on the table for discussion. It makes you really sad. Anyway, Brian's going to get all triggered. So who is it that's going to do this? Like back in this market, this was like IBM when it first came on the scene. Eastman Kodak, Coca-Cola, Procter and Gamble. All of those kind of names. They called them the Nifty 50. And there was just a handful of names that their asset prices just kept going up and up and up and up and up. And they were the ones that basically drove the market higher. And I think that the exact same thing is happening now for the 21st century. And it's basically these tech stocks, like Amazon, Facebook, Google, right? I think they used to call them the FANG stocks or whatever. So Amazon seems to be the sexy du jour. Interestingly enough, Netflix gave us just an absolutely incredible buying opportunity. I got to show you this chart. I mean, it's just, I'm supposed to be talking about Bitcoin right now, but man, this chart was just incredible. Let's see, where can I show you this? So we look at something like Netflix, and did you have the balls to step up and buy when you were supposed to buy? You know, this is actually a really good analogy of buying when they're crying. Kaboom. Well, this is the same thing as, can you step in and buy Bitcoin when you start hearing them talking about 51% attack? It's the same thing. And, you know, anybody who's taken an education program at TRI, and this is what I'm trying to teach all of you guys, is, of course, as soon as you start seeing the W's, and in this case, geez, what a good example. You actually have W's within W's. So the move through here, right there. Oh my goodness. Wow, what a signal. And I mean, what is that? That's $200 a share. And here we are, 365. What do you think the odds are that we're going to get up into this $400, which will basically be a double off of this level? And here's a great opportunity for you guys to participate. What usually happens with the smart money when the asset doubles in price? What does a smart investor do? Hint, 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 the exact opposite of what crypto kids will usually recommend you do. Nicholas has some colorful expressions about what Europe is right now. Anybody on YouTube? Thank you, Kat. Well, Kat, if you can actually do this and get that original capital back in your hands, you don't have to sell all of it. I'm not saying sell all of it by any stretch of the imagination whatsoever. And hell, I even know some traders that would be like, if you had a huge pop up here, fine, sell 3/4 of it. I don't care what the price is. Keep 1/4 of it on the books. Put your stop at scratch, and you know, who knows what the hell the rest of that does. And it might go to the moon, and you buy a Lambo with that remaining quarter. I personally like the just nice and simple sell half on a double. If the asset goes in, what am I saying here? If the asset doubles in price from where you purchased it, just get into the habit of letting them have half. And then you want to take the other half and go bury it in the backyard, put it on a, you know, if we're talking crypto, put it on a USB stick and go bury it in the backyard and forget about it. You never know, you might come back 10, 15 years later and wow, holy moly, that's turned into quite a bit of an asset. If you had stepped in, I mean, just think of it this way, you know, for all the crypto kids, just let's keep this as simple as possible. If you had stepped in, remember, I was, you know, the irony of it all, of course, is this is exactly what I did. But Julian and I started this company up right here. Where was it? July, right? June, July, right there. So at that point, and that was even like, you know, $600, but the price that we actually, nope, this is the wrong chart. Beg your pardon. Back here. Oh, yeah, you got to go another cycle back. There we go. And we just took one student's admission. And I said, look, I'm going to take one student's admission fee. It was right here, July, August, right? And it was like $460 for a Bitcoin right there. So now I did it with altcoins, which is a little bit different because, you know, like buying the altcoin, sell half when it doubles, triples, quadruples, quintuples, whatever. So the numbers got a little bit crazy. But the point here is if I had just sold half when it got up into that level and then just took the remaining and just threw it in the backyard and forgot about it, right? That was right there. You can't even see it. I mean, how many X higher are we even now? There's the sell half on a double level, and I'm just going to forget about the rest and just leave it alone. No, I mean, what is that? That's $900. That's 27X that price on your remaining position. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so back to the short-term story. Once upon a time, here we go. And just to finish off that other thought, I'm all over the place today. Sorry. Probably, I think this is half of my criticism is I just talk about 20 different topics all at once. But just to finish off this thought, clearly we can see based on the market itself where the money is flowing. It's clearly flowing into tech. It's interesting how it came back in China, but actually I'm hearing a lot of conversation these days that the recovery in China is completely collapsing. There is no domestic economy in China, which is fascinating because you might actually see China dissolve into civil war. That would be really cool to see. You could, I think also too, I think you could very easily see Russia dissolve into civil war as well. And frankly speaking, I wouldn't even be surprised if my country dissolves into civil war. People are very, very discontented with the political leadership and substitute drama teachers in my country. But I've told you guys repeatedly, right? Commodity countries, they're a sell, and they will be a sell. They'll be a short until probably about 2035 or so. So that's still another 12 years. There's no reason to be bullish of a country like Canada right now. It's crazy what's going on here. Anyway, good idea, Eddie. Probably just steer clear of Canada. I don't mind the idea of Philippines, just as long as you don't get wrapped up in the terrorists there. They still have guys that are living on Philippine islands that are like, they still think Second World War is going on. Anyway, so it's just interesting if you want to. I won't go through all the names because I'm talking way too much about this. But all of these are like old economy names. And you can see, remember we talked about W's are bullish, M's are bearish. Like, look at that M, right? All this was a counter trend rally to kiss the original M top, and we broke. There are some just stunningly well-defined M's, like this guy down here. So you can literally see that the old economy names, they're breaking down. Tech and semiconductors and Amazons and all that, and companies that service Amazon, they're doing very well here. So interesting commentary on that K-shaped economy that's starting to form here for us. All right, back to the Bitcoin and the weekly price chart. That's what I was supposed to be talking about here. So we have an M market structure. The asset's doubled in price, so not a big surprise. We're doing a bit of a pullback here. I like to follow these moving averages in particular. You're probably not going to find anybody else in the interneting that does follow these particular moving averages, but that's half of the job you have to do as a technician, is you have to figure out what works for you individually. I mean, it took me probably 20 years for me to come up with the logic of why I use the particular tools that I do use. I would say that, when you do break above moving averages and close above them for extended periods of time, then on the initial test of the moving averages coming back down, the market usually finds a lot of support. And if we have two moving averages, a fast one and a very slow one, both sort of suggesting a support level here, this is going to be an absolute, brick wall, brick floor. I don't know what the appropriate term is for price. And sure enough, past 2 weeks, right, they've tried to punch it down into here, and it just is not budging. Is it because of the moving averages? Or is it because this thing just needs more time to develop? I don't know. I mean, that's sort of like, does the tail wag the dog or does the dog wag the tail? I would say that, there is this inverted head and shoulders pattern. So this neckline is also a huge support level. And then also too, horizontal support and resistance, this low right here, which was caused by a sort of crypto influencer who kind of screwed with the public a little bit. And really, I think, I don't know, he probably enjoyed himself, had a good chuckle over it. And, all of his buddies in his inner circle, they sort of made fun of the public and their susceptibility to FUD. I'm a karma kind of guy. I didn't really like the karma about it, but that's just Brian. He's a weirdo. So point here is that was a liquidity pool. So not a big surprise. All in this area, there should be a lot of traffic in here. And actually, I was pointing it out to somebody. I'm not sure if I still have it on here or not. I was pointing it out to somebody earlier today. I think it was actually the stock market. That I actually think there's a lot of similarities between the stock market and Bitcoin right now. So if we go down to the daily chart, I'll leave the weekly chart at that. Like I said, we got an M working. You see where the support levels are. You see that we're in the seasonally weak period. Brian's birthday, what a surprise. It did exactly what we were supposed to have happen. Not really a big surprise. But how do we work our way down through this? And so that's where we probably want to go to the daily chart. Daily chart has this incredible megaphone that's been basically building here now since what? Jesus, since basically the beginning of the year, right? Isn't that fascinating? So we had a big jump up right at the beginning of the year. Then as soon as we got into sort of mid to late January, we started to establish this megaphone pattern, and it is huge. We had several attempts to move away from the top of the megaphone, and then boom, we got basically, remember I had said earlier, what are you supposed to think if you ever see the market smiling at you? And what an interesting situation that not only do we have a smile, but we have a smile within a smile. Right here, breaking, and that just so happens to be right at the megaphone level. Not a good sign. I can tell you from one guy who's been working in the trading business for a very long time, that is not a pretty image whatsoever. That is a very, very dangerous image. So much so that I think I want to be short. Oh, I am. You can see. And actually, you can't see it here. Let's see where we can show it to you. There. Oh, no. I thought I had it on here somewhere. Oh, isn't that weird? We've got this short working for site. Yeah, there it is. So this is off of the 4-hour chart. You can see these levels are on here. So we hit this level way up here. What is that? 28,061. And that's just been working away forever now. I think the fill came in on this counter trend rally here. So, and I just kept putting tweets out. Well, there's just not much to do. You just got to sit there and wait. So its target should be this 2.618 Feigenbaum extension levels. I think that's logical. As well, too, notice if I just draw a simple trend line off of these lows, that low and then this low, interesting how that seems to intersect with that 2.618 nicely. So I'm thinking there's some validity there. And oh, by the way, if we sort of dissect this megaphone in half, you see where the megaphone started, right? If I just draw a horizontal line off of that, that's also in that area, or basically just 50% of this trading range. Believe it or not, my gut feeling is we do need to come down into the lower part of this megaphone. I just don't think that happens right away. I wouldn't be surprised if this year we look something like boom, then all the way back up through the summer, then set some sort of top up through latter part of the summer, and then, oh boy, all hell starts to break loose heading into the fall. And then we ultimately work our way down into these reload zones. And then this is where, at this point, this is where it's going to get really tricky. Because I think I've told you, and this is just my opinion, I don't know what the hell's going to happen, but, if somebody's asking me, what do you think's going to happen, Brian? I think that 2023 is going to look something along the lines of, God, let's see how long it takes me to find this. Mr. Wyckoff. Where is Mr. Wyckoff? You're in here somewhere. I don't know how long ago this was. Actually, you know what? And every time I do this, there's a much better way to do this. blog. Josh, I repeatedly say, I think this blog is actually better than 99% of the research that you find out on Wall Street today. This blog is just so perfect. And really, this blog post right here, I did a whole bunch of interviews with people that were in Portugal with us last I guess late summer, early fall. Great video to watch if you want to really know what sort of the kind of changes we make in people's lives. But this blog post that Josh put together here, most recent, I still think that this is what our year is going to look like. I hope I'm wrong, but if anything, I also hope I'm right, because this wash, if we did get a nice wash of these lows, of course, all the crypto, like what I think happens here is that we dump here. And actually, I even mentioned this, I think it was on the Friday show with Zug. I said that I think we're going to get a situation here where this is going to be like the market presses to new lows. We dump hard here. You're going to get the Tony says we go down to 1K. But, hopefully now Novogratz is still with us. But Mr. Novogratz says we have bottomed out. I hope. And we just bought him off of Brian's big fat fib, right? Brian's favorite fib, 78.6. I don't know. Do we have to come down like the Wyckoff study says and actually wash those lows and then break higher here? Just nice big liquidity hunt after those lows. That could very easily be the case too. But this is the scenario that I'm thinking. And this lines up absolutely perfectly. And again, I don't know why more people on the internet don't see this. It's not rocket science. And, I don't understand why, we got 40 people watching these videos. What am I doing wrong? I mean, this study is just so perfect. And I think that this is what 2023 is going to look like. I think we look more like this 12 to 16 cycle window. And, you are here right now. You're in the middle of this mess right now. Some up, some down, some up, some down. But basically a sideways bottom through 23. Of course, if we go back to the blog, we know that Mr. Benner, who did this research literally 200 years ago, is suggesting that 23 should be a bottoming year. And, according to Mr. Benner, this is when you go and buy your corner lots. I don't know whether you can see that, but in years that say C, you should buy your corner lot. You want to see an example of a corner lot? I was showing the kids, and it's really cool because the banks own these assets now. They've actually had to go into foreclosure. And we looked at one last year. It wasn't too attractive. But this one, the price point is insane because, of course, the banks, they own the asset and they're just sitting there going, well, what the fuck do we do with this asset? We got to find a buyer. But look at this damn house. 250 G's, and it's got swimming pool. It's got outhouses. It's got a house that Chris, remember the place, the French lady's place? There was a unit that was all ready to go and you're like, I'll move into this. This place has a garage unit that looks identical to that. We could trick it out exactly like that other place. This place has a unit for Eddie. He's got his own suite in here, has even a separate entrance, the whole damn thing. And the prices that they're asking are extremely attractive. I was quite surprised by that. So that is exactly this, right? And Mr. Benner tells us, I don't know whether you can see this or not. Let me zoom in. C, years of hard times. What do you think, folks? Are you hearing a bit of shit out there in the world this year? I'm hearing a lot of shit. I don't know. Give me some feedback. And I mean, how are the crypto kids feeling these days? Are they all talking about Lambos? I don't hear anybody talking about Lambos. Low prices, a good time to buy stocks are in corner lots. Well, I'll tell you, if there was ever a example of a corner lot that's going on sale, man, that place looks pretty bloody slick. So I still haven't lost the Portuguese dream. Anyway, so just circling back, talking about the blog. I think that this blog is, and it's fascinating. Like, this is free, and nobody on Wall Street is gonna send this out. I mean, you never hear Joey Diamond ever talking about this kind of stuff. Never, ever, 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 ever. This is the value added that TRI has. I don't know how to convey it to the public, because clearly, whatever the messaging I'm doing it wrong. I mean, we should have like 1,000 people watching this video right now. It's baffling. So anyway, moving on. The daily chart right now on Bitcoin looking a little bit tough, right? We've got this megaphone working. You all know, Brian's birthday. God, I think if anything now, you all should remember for the rest of your lives. Oh, Jesus, that goddamn Beamish's guy's birthday's coming up here. We better get the hell out of the market. So I'll tell you, it's it's stunningly predictable how the Bitcoin just loves to absolutely crap on my birthday. Anyway, and then also to remember, right, this actually, the expression "sell in May and walk away" started in the commodities business. So this isn't a Bitcoin thing. This is a very normal seasonal behavioral pattern from the commodities sector. Very normal. Very, very normal. Now, interesting. I went through that whole rant and we actually lost some viewers there. How does that happen? What am I doing wrong? It drives you crazy. Anyway, obviously you guys don't like my rhetoric. Now what the hell have I done here? Okay. So Megaphone's doing its thing. I will say, this is actually pretty easy as investing and trading goes. This asset is not a quote unquote buy until we actually W out on the other side of this validated market structure trend line. This trend line now is, in my opinion, it is confirmed. It is the prevailing trend in the marketplace. And Bitcoin will not be a quote unquote buy until two things. Number one, we have to get back above that trend line. Then number two, and this is what I'm worried about, is that, yeah, we could get a nice break above the trend line, but then we actually walk our way back down the trend line on the other side. And we see this happen in markets all the time. I can't tell you how many people on YouTube I see who make videos about, I'm a trend line break trader, and they go and buy that. And then, a week or two later, you see the damn asset starts to roll over and walk its way down the trend line from the other side. So number one, we have to see this trend line broken. But then number two, we have to see bullish market structure completely on the other side of that trend line. At that point, then I'd say Bitcoin is a buy. But until we get this, be careful. And, as you can see, according to this setup, and this is what we call a 3-step setup, and actually Graham is very, very good at trading this. It's one of the core components that we treat in the teach in the level 1 program. And it basically just looks something like, where the heck do I have this? Nope. Where the hell do I have this? No. Where is that chart? Over here? No. Just did that. And we just did that. And we just did that. And I just loaded that up, so I don't think it's there. It should be one of these. In fact, it should be this one. No. No. Fudgicles. Darn, I hate when I do this. No, it's not this one. It's gotta be. Anyway, I had side by side. This is the total market cap. Confirmed bearish divergence in MACD. Williams percentage R officially stupidly overbought. Keep in mind, this is a heavily modified Williams percentage R, so don't just trade out of the box with this. So what that means is this is what I call the El Tangonator setup. And last thing we're looking for is bearish market structure, nice big fat M. And we're going to take profits at the 50% rule of this range. From the low up to the high, and ideally you want that to be about a 2-to-1. So I think you see this hitting this market structure top here is 2-to-1. So here's a good example, and actually the take profit level for 2-to-1 is at the 2.618, which I think is realistic. Maybe you sell half of the position, maybe 3/4 of the position, move your stop to scratch on the remaining, and then maybe shoot for a home run tag of this trend line down at the bottom. You know, Brian wants to buy BFFs. There's 4.669 Foggenbaum level. The original market structure bottom, there was a guy that on the site that last cycle, he actually did buy a nice little stab down into 88.6s. In fact, even a bit lower. You know, when the politicians down in the States were freaking out about the sickness, should we debate market taker? Shut the fuck up and give them all the money they want. Right, all that talk. He actually had the balls to step up and buy through here, and he did really, really well. Not on crypto total market cap, but on Bitcoin. But where's the 3-step setup, man? I thought I had this thing all done. What the hell did I do with this damn thing? Maybe I have it over here. Huh? That's baffling. I must have put it away. That's too bad. Fudgicles. I'll try one more. Oh, darn it. Anyway, I've been tweeting it out. I'm not quite sure why I don't have the chart up here. Just lack of focus by me. I guess what time is it? 12:10. So we should probably head over to the question and answer soon. But let's see if I can somehow show you this. All right. So off of here, let's go back up top. So the 3-step setup, it's pretty straightforward. It's not rocket science. Here, I think this is it. Yeah. So this is the original post. If anything, this is a really good example of like I'm an open book. So I don't think you're going to find anybody else on the interneting that's actually going to talk to you about setups as they're developing and then walk you through it step by step by step. So at this point, there is no trade, but we definitely have trade location, good old Foggenbaums. We also have A, B, C equals C, D objectives. So up top here, lots of reason to think about maybe price might just reverse. Then we look down at our momentum indicators, in this particular case, using a relative strength study. This is actually a good example of what I call double divergences or double Ds. And I tell you, folks, I absolutely love double Ds. Then the final thing we're looking for is, can I get market structure, a big fat M, to develop? And you can even see at this point, this is a really good example of you have to be incredibly patient and incredibly disciplined in this game of trading. And there's a guy, Jimmy Rogers, used to say, the only time I take a trade, when I look over in the corner, I see a big pile of money just sitting there, and all I got to do is just walk over and pick it up. So there's nothing to do here right now. But as time goes by, you can see that this trade setup just developed more and more every week. So, you know, I'm an open book. I mean, all of you should be able to learn from this as I walk you through this setup. This is my gift to the world, right? Learn from this, bookmark this, take notes, take screenshots. And if you need help, that's why we have our basic education program. That I was told by a consultant today that the way that we teach our program, we should be charging 10 times the price that we're charging for this education program. And frankly speaking with him, frankly speaking, I agree with him. And guess what, folks? I think I'm actually going to get out of the business of mass educating because we're not making a profit on this now, folks. Just understand that. The price point that we have, we're just basically breaking even. And we have a huge team. Like Chris doesn't pay for himself. That money to pay for Chris got to come from somewhere. And, Sjord and his team and consultants and marketing people. I mean, that money's got to come from somewhere. So we're not getting rich from teaching this education program the way that it is. Don't be surprised. And I've warned you guys all about this, that the way that we teach this education program is probably going to change. In fact, it will need to change. So hopefully maybe we can do like just a dumbed down sort of, Udemy type of education program, just give you the basics for anybody who sort of thinks that they know what they're doing. And then if you really do need that hand holding, working with an instructor, working in a class environment, you're gonna pay for it. Yep, absolutely, Richard. It's going to get much, much more expensive. No doubt about it. Which will probably mean that like me going on hour after hour with you guys here, and look at that, the viewers is actually falling. I don't think that this YouTube experience is working. So you might actually find that, you're probably going to see some changes out of TRI. So enjoy this while it lasts. That would be my advice to you. So anyway, back to our story here. So I had started off the broadcast today talking to you guys about there were range trade setups that fired. And so in essence, that's what this 3-step setup, El Tangonators, that's what these are. This is a setup at the top end of the range. You're looking for a return to the 50% rule, which is basically the mean. I might argue that, and then 3-step setup, same sort of thing. This is basically the same logic. Markets up at the top end of the range, 3 unrelated reasons to take a trade, looking for a return to the mean. 2.618 targets here off of M tops, which is, I think, pretty realistic. It's not really unrealistic. So, as this trade has developed, obviously prices move down a bit, right? And this is actually what I really like, is I like to put out a tweet like this, just to commenting, watching a setup actually setting itself up. And then actually seeing how it develops. So, as time goes by, and my comment is, oh, I like the way this thread is aging, because this is exactly what should happen with setups. Now, the interesting thing on this setup right now is that until either 50% of the anticipated move has been realized, and that at that point I could move my stop to scratch and just let the thing breathe and just let it do its thing, or I get stopped out of the setup and have to book the loss, there's really not a hell of a lot for me to do. So, and as you can see, basically what I've said here, off of this, here's, another revisit of this exact same tweet. I'm an open book. You can't say there's anything fraudulent about this. Thank you, Nuri. That's going to help Liam and the McDonald's bill. Appreciate it. Hugs and kisses. So learn from this, bookmark this, try and do this yourself. Or like I said, get in the education program and we'll help you learn this. So, what I said here, bearish setups appear to be just working away. I can move my stop to scratch at 25K, which is a big fat round number. It's 38.2. It's a revisit of old structural levels. So it makes sense. It's just common sense trading wise. Best thing for a guy like for me to do is absolutely nothing. Then as a little bit more time goes by, well, what's the comment next? Comment is, again, if Alan will work with me here. Swear, I've noticed that this Twitter has become actually quite difficult to use. Look how long this is taking to load. It's almost like somebody's like, oh crap, that guy's giving away the secrets. You better derail him somehow. Look at that, eh? Some people have actually said, look at that. So the page is totally unresponsive. Some people have actually said that they actually see that Big Brother is trying to derail me here, which is kind of tragic in a way. Look at that. What the fuck is going on now? What a mess. Thanks, Alan. This is why, because I don't want to pay Alan's extortion, but clearly Alan wants to extort the world to get them to, pony up more money for him. Look at that. And there's no reason why this should happen at all. Let's maybe just try. Can we somehow, oh, look at that. I mean, they're basically killing the Twitter feed. Look at that. Isn't that terrible? Oh, look at that. Oh, Alan's actually going to let me back. Oh, thanks, Alan. Oh, where the hell was I? All right. Well, anyway, 3-step setups working away. I suppose we can leave it at that for now. So there is the trade. It's just working away. But now that we're sort of working our way down here now, and what's interesting with markets, and I don't think a lot of people in the public realize this. So by all means, if you want to write this down, maybe take a screenshot of it. How do markets actually move? What I wanted to do is just get sort of a blank slate here. Yeah. So if I go, let's get rid of that. And if I go like that, and I go like that, and I wanted to do a trade on KuCoin, but it turns out that we haven't done KYC on KuCoin. So that's actually not even realistic to do now. Which is too bad because this is a nice trend continuation trade, right? So that's this. Oh, wow. Jasmine 21 Harris, thank you very much. Hey, that helps with Liam's McDonald's bill. Love you. And actually, I got to go. You know how much an oil change costs in Vancouver now? $140 for a freaking oil change. $140 for an oil change. No, substitute drama teachers, you're not screwing us over, are you? All right, so anyway, there was the original top, 3-step setup, want to get short. That's all this conversation over here, right? Getting short off of the M top. Now we're into the point, and actually this is what I tweeted out before, but I mean, Alan probably is screwing us over, so we can't show you. And oh, by the way, I mean, Alan should be sued, to be honest with you. Over what he did with that Dogecoin, he should be sued. If that was the stock market, there would be lawsuits flying right, left, and center over that Doge. I'm actually surprised he hasn't been. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day. So what I pointed out here just recently was it looks to me like we're now starting to get trend continuation trade setups developing, and that's what this was. So as we were sort of working our way, this was the range top trade, but as the market is working its way down, right, I think I've shown you this before, usually the way markets move, right, is kind of like what you see here, but kind of opposite, is they go like they put in a bottom, and of course sometimes the bottom is uglier than sin. Let's maybe do this a bit brighter so you can see that, right? Something like that. Usually that's, it might be a double bottom. It might be a triple bottom, who knows, something like that, right? What we really want is we want that W. And if it takes a couple stabs to find that W, so be it. That often happens in the market. Linda Bradford Radke, everybody is a longtime site member, knows what I'm talking about there. So that's sort of the bottoming process, but usually if you saw Mr. Wyckoff's market cycle image, I mean, usually what we do is something like put in a bottom, then start working our way higher, and then put in a top and start working our way lower. So, and this is just basically the capitalist process. In fact, Mr. Wyckoff would call this the markup and markdown process. So, and then, we do the whole damn thing all over again when we're over here. Well, it's just the way the capitalist machine works. So you could hunt trades that develop here. Double bottom's going to buy that, going to risk to new lows, blah, blah, blah. That mean revision, right? Maybe this had come down a long way, and that's the 50% rule. And so your buy is, buying W's down here, taking profits at 50% rule. It's totally realistic. You can also, you've noticed that the market has turned. Well, you can also do things like trend continuation trades. So as this market is moving its way higher, my rule, of course, is we want to see a market correct at least 33% of whatever the most recent wave is, and then project that as a trend continuation move, looking for a stab up top. Maybe we do something like that. All right, and then you're going to break that into quarters, and there's your trade. I'm going to try and enter here, and I'm looking to take profits here. So bottom fishers, trend continuation traders, and then usually at the end of this move, this is actually a harmonic level where markets usually stall out. Then we do the whole damn thing going the other way. So I just showed you 3-step setups, right? And now I think we're in this phase, where I do believe that trend continuation trades are now starting to set themselves up. So that means we think things like want to see at least a 33% correction, but no more than 66 on the down and sort of initial down move. This is backwards, but I think you get the idea. Boom. And then what we want to do is we want to now start thinking about, all right, how does the market work its way from this topping pattern down against the lows? And that's the bot setup, right? Going the other direction, trend continuation. What do I want to do here? Bot trade, right? Boosh. There we go. Is that the right direction? No, it's backwards. All right. So something like that. So we're going to try and enter here, looking to capture this, and we're going to risk this. So that's, I think, the stage that we're at with Bitcoin. So on the daily chart, we've had the topping up patterns, prices breaking down, and now it looks to me like we have the trend continuation setup starting to develop. So I wanted to do this, like we've got this this initial short trade off the top here, working on Stamp. And of course, these damn crypto exchanges, you can't have like multiple setups going or else it screws up everything. So I just want to leave that alone. So my solution was, let's go over to KuCoin and we'll do the trade on KuCoin. So there is the original M top. Boom, 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 boom. Got that short working off of the Stamp chart. Here is the trend continuation, A to B, C to D. And literally we are waiting for 3 lower highs and a resolution of the 25 level. You can see I have my sell on a stop order working. I wanted to actually do this in real time with real capital. We do have a funny account over at KuCoin, but you have to jump through KYC crap. And it's technically our US corporate account that's trading all this stuff now. And it's just way too much of a headache to get it up and running. So just going to have to do it as just a demo trade for you guys. I'm more than happy to do this. And some guy recently was calling me a fraud and stuff and saying I don't do these trades. I mean, so that's why I really wanted to do this. And I did some research where I could actually do this. And it turns out I can't. So I don't know. I mean, maybe what I'll do is I'll go strap on a short out of the BITO, which is a Bitcoin ETF in the stock market with my interactive account. I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure something out. So what do I think happened through the weekend? Well, I mean, interestingly enough, I do think that this bearish bot is working. And what I found really fascinating about this is notice the price objective down here. That's the price target, right? And you can see it's 23,600 and change. What was really interesting was, Where the hell did it's too bad I lost all those darn charts because there was a really cool juxtaposition of levels. Maybe I have it on that Twitter chart. Let's see. Where is Twitter? There it is. No, did I have that here? Darn. Darn. And you know, I'm just, oh, here it is here. So here was that trend continuation, one high, two highs. There was our third high. So if we rolled over and went through this low, I was ready to hit this thing. We actually rallied up and we took this high out. So we're still waiting for that third high and the rollover. And I put this tweet out thinking, well, it sure looks to me like they want to break this thing. Then there'll be a counter trend rally to run the stops and then it'll dump. And it turns out, nope, there was no break. They just took the market up, ran stops. And in the reload short zone of this range, that's where they broke this market, which was quite remarkable. Anyway, the point being here that this is the bot entry. This is the move stop to break even level. This is the move stop to trailing level. And the price objective on this chart, but of course I don't have it on the screen. Here it is. 4-hour chart. Isn't this super cool? And I love this. I love confluence of levels. Whenever I see confluence of levels, ooh, I get excited because it just means the market is trying to tell you where it wants to go. So 2.618 off of this M top, which would be perfectly natural, perfectly normal, exactly what I would expect out of chaos theory. Notice here is the bearish bot, the purple line, A to B, C to D. Now we're looking at this 4-hour chart. There's one high, two highs. Remember I had said earlier, I thought that they were just going to dump this market following this doji candle. Nope. They went in, they took out the highs of that doji candle, then bang, 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 3-bar bearish fractal, down you go. This thing hasn't broken the 25 level yet. So I don't think that the bot is actually firing just yet. And you might find that we put in a 3-bar bullish fractal here and we don't break down just yet. I don't know. I mean, it's not my job to predict the future. What I am going to say, though, is we have the sell on stop order working. I am more than happy to short Bitcoin for a trend continuation trade, A to B, look at the purple lines, C to D, and notice this is that M top, the 2.618 profit objective. Actually, you can see there is the profit objective way out there. So if we got to dump down into this 2.618 and the bot objective level, I think I might be inclined to let them have some of this right here, to be honest with you. We've got this floating out here. Yeah, I'm running out of time. I know. But just the point being that hopefully you can all clearly see this bearish bot. And quite literally, if this level fires, I think the bot is alive. We have now 3 solid highs to risk against. So just keep your eyes peeled. I don't know what the hell's going to happen, but I did tweet this out sort of, and this is where, this conversation was supposed to go. Although I probably did a terrible job walking you through all this, and that's why we don't have any viewers. But you can see there is the bot entry level. I would expect, dumps down into these areas. This probably isn't the best one. I thought I had a better one here that I tweeted out for you guys. But I'm just not seeing it. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so these are the charts that I put out today. So, okay, we talked the weekly chart into the ground. You can see where I'm expecting support to come in next. If we lose these moving averages, call in zone 30 SMA, which is probably realistic in my opinion, somewhere down in this area. On the daily charts, of course, we've got this nasty megaphone working, which I definitely think I'm very comfortable just letting this higher time frame setup work away into these 2.618s. We'll see how it acts. And then this is sort of the top of the range playing the megaphone trades. Then if we drill down to the lower time frames, all those sort of degenerates, and I don't really like going lower than a 4-hour basis with you guys. Here is the trend continuation trade how do we work our way down into those higher time frame price objectives, now working bearish bots down into the bottom end of the range. So that's what I see happening in the market right now. It's probably terribly long-winded, but hopefully somebody got some value out of all that. All right. Let's zip on over to the AMA. I don't think there were really many questions. Yeah, there are only 3 questions. So I think if anything, 12:30 here, maybe spend the next half hour or so talking about this. And then we'll wind up the Sunday show and ask everybody for a nice big fat karmic PMA wish for Brian and Liam. And now, of course, we've got Liam's McDonald's money. Thank you, Jameen 21 and Nore. In fact, actually, interestingly enough, his McDonald's bill comes to $16. So you guys actually paid for his McDonald's bill today. Way to go, guys. You are awesome. Love you guys. Hugs and kisses. Okay, let's do these questions and then we'll send you on your way. What do you think, Eddie? Did you miss all this crazy ass mindless ranting for hours on end that doesn't really take us anywhere? I don't know. TBG's here. TBG crypto. TBG, you didn't. I didn't get back to me about Costa Rican real estate, although I did see some prices there. Fuck me. You would have thought in the middle of nowhere. Oh, now you're in El Salvador. Jeez, that's getting dangerous. You're moving more and more into AK-47 country, dude. Careful. You know, you ever heard of a Colombian necktie? Oh, it was always El Salvador? Oh, okay. Oh, goodness. This is dangerous. I thought it was Costa Rica that the guy set up the country to use Bitcoin as his base. Anyway, let me know if you got a half decent property out there. Did you see it's opposite of dangerous? Wow, really? Huh. I wouldn't have thought that. Interesting. All right, anyway, back to our story. Okay, looks like we got 2 or 3 questions. So let's see if I can do a half decent job at answering these. And I don't know. Well, thank you, PTR. So why is it that this channel just doesn't get any views? You know, we had some consultant guy who's like Mr. YouTube Wizard, and he's like, you're wasting your time doing this. This is a total waste of time and energy. And yet I'm trying to give you guys value. I'm trying to talk to you guys from the heart. I don't know. Hey, there's your man. If you want, be sure. I mean, here's a great analogy of the value of TRI. Every Tuesday, Mr. Computer Wizard comes on to TRI and he tells us about what he's interested in the crypto space. And, you know, the irony of it all is if I actually pull up my crypto dashboard, you can see even today, I mean, disregard all this stuff, but there's not a hell of a lot of green on the screen. And whatever there is green, of course, you know, you've heard me babbling away about how Bitcoin's out of its seasonal acceptable window to be a buyer, right? So you should all understand that. If anything, it's kind of interesting that this little one's moving up here. But is there anything that's actually moving up in earnest in this particular market state? Let's see, mice list, a lot of red. Let's head on over to Sjord's ideas. Of course, very, very smart individual. He's on TRI's Daily Brief Afterparty every Tuesday, just dropping wisdom bombs right, left, and center. And oh, by the way, one of the only names that's actually moving higher in this space is Sjord's darling here. Now, what I'm worried about is, I mean, Sjord does just insanely awesome FA. I mean, he knows the fundamentals of this space backwards. What I'm worried about, though, is that he is going to throw caution to the wind, and he's going to go and buy up here, which I don't think is a good idea. But who the hell am I to tell Sjord what to do? So anyway, wouldn't be surprised if we find that Sjord's back on the buy side. You can see where I am here. But this is probably the same as working bids on Bitcoin at $600. And where are my fills, Brian? Where are my fills? You told me to buy Bitcoin at $600. Where are my fills? But what an interesting analogy. Like nothing. I mean, you can see Ethereum's looking like poop. There's a lot of red on this screen. Maybe some unchanged. Nothing really moving up dramatically. Look at these. Actually, his old darlings, they're getting whacked here. Well, mostly red, but nope. Here's good old Sjord's number one name that he's been touting through this whole winter market. And look at it, it's making new highs here today. Go figure. Is it worth participating in TRI, being a part of our community, and listening to Sjord's wisdom bombs that he drops every Tuesday on the show? I think so. And I for one, am very grateful and thankful that I have Sjord in my life, because he is one smart ass mofo. All right, now I'm supposed to be talking about this question document. I'm not sure how I got off on that tangent. I think I saw him over on YouTube and I was like, oh, Sjord's here. All right. Okay, let's get back to the questions. All right. So number one, hello, Brian. Could you please go through how to fill out the Demon Finder spreadsheet? Does every column represent one trade, or you have to tick or cross out every box? Thank you, Brian. Love your work. Oh, that's sweet of you. Leave your screen name or your code name or whatever that you have. It doesn't have to be a real name, and half the people on the internet don't use their real names. Just so I can speak to you, whoever you are, who wrote this question. Actually, it's interesting that I loaded this up earlier today. The key to this document, the most important thing about this document is, and this also comes from personal experience. Because remember, I was a prop trader at one point. I used to work for these silly firms in Chicago. So that's actually being given like real money. Okay, well, now you go and make decisions with this capital. And if you lose money, get the fuck out. So you're not allowed to lose money. Anyway, that's another conversation for another day. The main purpose of this document is to try and see repeated behavior. Because what I found, me personally, and I've seen this with students, is we actually end up making the same mistake over and over and over. And the only way you can actually see that behavioral pattern is through a document like this. So, maybe this is Monday and damn it, I went in and I moved my stop again. Why did I move my stop? My trading plan didn't say move my stop. Why did I move my stop? That kind of talk. So you would check off, well, I exited too early. And then Tuesday, okay, I'm doing my setups. Okay, I'm gonna kill the market today. And again, I moved my stop to scratch and I got stopped out too early. I didn't wait for that 50% level of the anticipated move to be tagged before moving my stop, whatever. But I made the same mistake again, so check that off. The point here is that what you should see happen, and I don't know why it happens this way. I honestly don't know. But I can tell you, when I used to be a tennis teacher, it's the same thing. Every single student always has their own particular issue, and they just can't proceed until they actually, number one, acknowledge that particular issue, and then number two, actually make a commitment to getting rid of that particular issue. And then the irony of it all is once you get that one issue licked, man, all of a sudden you're unstoppable. You're just ripping the market apart, because it was just like, I moved my stop too early. And for some reason, I just keep making the same damn mistake over and over and over. And that's what this document's all about. Now, maybe you're at the point where you're just starting out and you're making mistakes all over the map. Okay, well, fine. That hopefully shows you that, hey, you still got a lot of work to do. if anything, I hate to say it, I mean, like, if anything, what you really want to do is print one of these things off and say, okay, this is for the period of May of 2023. And really what you want to do is just get through the month where you don't fill this out at all. That doesn't necessarily mean that every single trade's a winning trade. Nobody said that. You might even be down on the month. You didn't make any money. But the key is that you vetted out a plan, you committed to following the plan, and then you executed per the plan. I like the idea, and I think Grim actually also espouses it to our level oneers, that you don't have to necessarily be locked into one particular plan for the rest of your trading days. Nobody's asking you to do that. But I definitely think it's in your best interest that you commit to say, like, all right, I'm going to take 20 trades based on this plan. I'm not going to put a time horizon on it. I have done the paper trades. I've seen the desirable results. Next 20 trades are going to be like 1/10 account size trades, but they are real capital trades. And now, while you're running that, you've got to have your demon finder up. And this is the only way that you can actually see whether you are doing what you said you're going to do. So really at the end of that 20 trade reporting period, I don't want to see any entries here. You might see one or two, and obviously that's areas so you can concern. At the end of that 20 trades, you should go back and review. And really what this speaks to is this is all about this document. Believe it or not, and it's not very sexy. And this is half of the reason why we don't really have a bazillion gazillion followers and stuff. This is really what you're getting involved in. And that does not look like sex. I don't know what term to use. This looks pretty damn boring. This looks like an office job. Hey, I wanted to be a trader, man. I wanted to be, look at me, buy, sell, hedge, right? And all that kind of stuff, right? That's what I wanted to do. What the fuck is this? This is like spreadsheets, accountants, lawyers, boring. Really, I hate to say it, me, and look at this. So I wrote this article 10 years ago. Now I have 35 fucking years experience in this damn business. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed at all. So the most important thing you have to ask yourself is, am I actually doing consistent, reliable, dependable behavior, professional behavior, trading setups within a plan? How are you going to know whether you are actually doing this? You've got to track the data. That's the whole point of having things like spreadsheets. I can clearly see here, based on every single entry, I'm not doing anything wrong here. Is the account actually making money? Well, yeah, it turns out it is. But more importantly, I didn't really fuck anything up. There was one or two trades here that were a little bit sloppy, and I noted here. But on balance, not enough for me to go, holy crap, I better get the demon finder out. I did something. I sold when I was supposed to buy. What the hell am I doing? But the point here is, going back to this document, is you have to build your trading plan. You have to trade the setups that you pre-vetted that have a good 60 to 70% chance of working. Then the question is, okay, how are you going to actually know what you're doing? Well, you've got to record everything that you do in a log, in a spreadsheet, whatever it is. Then you have to come in and you have to ask yourself, well, am I actually doing what I said I was going to do here? if you are, then there is no problem. You're just running your plan, and hopefully you're seeing positive results. That's the whole point of this exercise, isn't it? So if you are executing and you're just kicking butt, well, there's going to be no reason for you to enter Demon Finder logs. And at this point, you're analyzing the recorded data, and there is no problem. Now, what happens if you analyze the data and you actually go through and you go, holy crap, like I said, I moved my stop too early. I wasn't supposed to move my stop, but because I was so riddled with anxiety, I moved my stop early and I got out, and actually the trade was a perfectly good trade idea and it went to my profit objective, but I ended up screwing myself out because of personal behavioral issues. Things like I moved my stop too early, or I was supposed to have my order to exit at my profit objective, but for some stupid reason, I didn't have the order working. Why? And I ended up panicking because the price shot up into a level and I ended up exiting at a terrible price. Okay, well, that definitely gets a Demon Finder entry. Entered too soon. I was front running the trade. I thought the setup was going to come in, and which is opinion, and it turns out the setup never did come in. As I said, I mean, there are tons of ways to fuck this up. I think probably the more important issue here is you need to clearly identify, is this an issue about setups? And maybe I'm trading ill-valid? Is that such a word? No. Not valid setups. And that's totally possible. I mean, especially when I'm day trading and like trading crude oil and stuff, I often end up actually taking a long outside of a reload zone. You guys all know about my BFF, how I absolutely love buying at 78.6s. Well, recently I took a crude oil long trade and it was like near the 50% rule that I bought because that's where the candlestick pattern fired. And in hindsight, that would be a demon log entry. Location was not correct. So is it a question about actual setup and you trading setups incorrectly? Or is it an issue about your behavior? It's too slow on pulling the trigger, not fast enough, too hasty in getting out, didn't place the stops correctly. But hell, I traded a trade that wasn't even in my trading plan. What the fuck am I doing? So this is a huge part of this learning curve. There's two very different ways of screwing up losing money from trading. Either A, you have a crappy setup that when you trade this setup, it doesn't work, and it doesn't work 66% of the time, and it doesn't produce 2-to-1 risk rewards. That's okay. If it's not a behavioral issue, it's just, this is a bad setup. Why are you trading this setup? We can always go and change setups. But if it's a behavioral issue that you just can't trade the setup, i.e., you're checking off boxes down here, then this is actually a harder problem to solve. So it's pretty important to distinguish the two. Is it a setup issue or is it a behavior issue? One thing that I do like, and this sort of goes hand in hand with, and I really don't talk about these kind of documents in earnest until we actually get to sort of more advanced program, the level 3 program, where we actually go through what's called a trader's workbench. And we go through all of the tools that you're going to set yourself up for as a day trader to try and control your behavior, all that kind of stuff. And that would be sort of conversations around mistakes. And one way that professional traders can attack and address mistakes and continual behavior problems is to actually show yourself how much money it's actually costing you when you make these mistakes. That's really where you see, oh my God, I could lose my job here if I don't get my head wrapped around this mistake. And look how much money this cost me. Look how much money that cost me. And like, am I actually serious about doing this? Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. Oh, look at that. I'm running out of time. So I don't know whether I helped you with that question, but hopefully that gave you a starting point of how to use this. And what you really want to see here is you want to see, are you making the same mistake over and over and over? Of which you're going to see repeated checks in the same damn box over and over and over. And it should actually help you identify clearly where it is you got to really buckle down on. Okay, today I am not going to exit the trade early. I am not going to move my stop. If I get stopped out, so be it, but I'm not going to fucking move my stop too early. Hopefully that helps you. But that's the whole point of this. What's this? What if you're going through and not being able to ID any of those, and yet you're still in a losing trade? Well, that's just a function then of just a shitty setup you're using, Sean. So the question is, what's the setup look like? And if the setup, if you, I mean, in level one, we want you to paper trade 100 setups, right? If I was talking to an educated group, that's basically in here. If it's not a behavioral issue and it's just a setup, you can see here, right? You got to go in and change your plan. Is it a bad setup or is it bad behavior? Thank you, PTR. Hugs and kisses. Hit the like button, subscribe, and maybe tell a friend. I mean, that's the best way you can help us. Let's get these YouTube views up. I don't know what the hell I have to do. Should I do this naked? Should I be sitting here in a bikini? I don't know what to do. So if anything, right? And this is in the library. Anybody can get this, but here. There's the document. Go through this behavioral modification plan and just read what I've written here. It basically speaks to exactly what you guys are asking. How do we do that? There we go. Anyway, so you got to build your plan. Got to choose what setups you're going to use in the plan. Of course, this could take forever. This could take months to figure out what kind of setup works for you. All right, 100 paper trades. Going to implement the plan. And as I said earlier, if I was talking to people that I knew could actually build a plan, execute the plan, having control of their behavior, okay, then basically the story goes something along the lines of this, right? And most level oneers, you're here. But if you can actually execute a plan, build a plan, I think you're sort of in here and maybe even here. So very, very far down the process. But, in essence, your first 20 trades, paper trades, right? I want you crawling. I want you thinking, first I got to crawl, then I got to walk, then I got to run. Then the second 20 trades after you validate that, hey, this setup works. I think I can trade it on a regular basis. Chris with his opening range trade setups, he went through this process, probably did 100, 200 trades to get to the point where now he's actually passing prop firm tests. Are you actually able to trade? Do you think you could actually do this? And he's showing them that, yeah, I'm ready. I'm the man. Then, you pass through this sort of evaluation. Can I actually do this? Going to work the account up now to maybe like 1/10 count size. Can I do this? 20 trades, report, log, journal. Am I seeing desirable results? Blah, 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 blah. If not, then go back to, do not pass go straightly to jail or whatever. Start from scratch, do it all over again. Once, I think that once you get about 40, maybe 50 trades in, paper, 1/10 count size, if you're firing on all cylinders, you're not having behavioral mistakes, you're following your plan, you're following your setups, then I think you're ready to actually risk real money at this game. I know for certain, and we had a consultant recently talk to us about why we have so few views on YouTube. And I told him point blank, I said, I don't think 1 in 100 people that come to TRI watch these YouTube videos, you are not any further than this guy right here. And I actually like it how our level 1 instructor says, because you were right here, you don't even know what the hell a setup is. It might take you trading 50 paper trades just to actually trade a setup correctly. So he likes all the level 1ers to commit to doing 100 paper trades. Now, you go on some of these YouTube shill sites, and all this sexy, get rich from trading crypto. Are you gonna go on there and they're gonna say, okay, now you do nothing, put your money away and show us that you can actually do this for 100 trades. Show us the log, show us the journal, show us your trading plan, show us the setup you're going to trade, show us your 3 unrelated reasons, and don't lie. You think anybody on YouTube does that? Tell you, if you really want to learn out of this profession, we've been at this now 5-10 years. I haven't seen there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts whatsoever. But that's what you got to do. And it's not very popular. As a result, we get like 40 views. It sucks. Anyway, so I hope that answered your question. Maybe go back and listen to that a few times. Maybe you got a half decent. Oh shit! It's already 1 o'clock. Okay, I'm gonna have to really. I'll address this question number 2 in the next 5-10 minutes. Then I got to go. You all know Liam. Wish me luck with Liam ahead of time. I'd appreciate it. Good karma. Thank you very much for Liam's lunch money. That's great. I love that. That is so freaking awesome. I don't even know where the hell that money goes. I think it goes into some account somewhere. But if we can earmark that money that you guys tip us with as Liam's lunch money, that's perfect. That is so awesomely perfect. That's karma for you. That's karma. Hey, Cheryl. Geez, I sure hope you and your son are continuing on this. Has he lost interest in all this stuff? I hope not. Anyway, okay. Number 2. So, hi, Brian. I've noticed you periodically switch from linear to logarithmic scale when analyzing your charts. What's the difference and why do you do this? All right. First and foremost, you have to ask yourself, what are you doing in the marketplace? Which I know sounds kind of dumb, but if you are investing in an asset, and actually this rent is probably a good example, then you really probably want to look at this from a logarithmic scale. And what you have to understand is, how does growth work? And if you think about it from a company's perspective, a movement in price from, say, $2.49 to $2.59. Well, let's just say $2.49 to $2.50. That's 1 penny of movement. So 2.49 minus 2.5. So that's like literally 1 penny of movement, but 1 penny of movement, 0.01, divided by $2.49, that works out to 0.4% movement. Versus if this asset was, I don't know, let's say, back here, right? 33 cents right here. Well, if we go, say, 33 cents to 34 cents, 1 penny movement, 1 penny divided by 33 cents, that's now 3% movement in the asset value, in the value of the asset. So hopefully you see the difference. 3% movement in an asset, 1 penny movement from here to here, versus up here, 1 penny movement is what did I say? 0.4%, right? If we want to change this into percentage, right? We just multiply that by 100. So that's like a 3% movement from 33 to 34. But $2.49, right, is like a 0.4% movement. So especially if you're looking at stocks, I think it's really important that you look at assets, because a difference in, let's say, a company earning a penny a share to earning 2 pennies a share, that's only a 1 penny per share difference. But that's increasing earnings 100%, right? Going 1 penny to 2 pennies versus a company that earns 10 cents a share. They increase their earnings by a penny. That's only a 10% increase in earnings, 10 cents to 11 cents. So as a result, a 1 penny movement in the earnings of the company is hugely different based on where you're starting from. And that's why we use log scale charts, is we want to see growth on a consistent basis. And I have to say, especially if you're trading things like these junior assets, this actually works much better. And it's remarkable how the technical objectives actually work really well too. So on a logarithmic basis, if we're measuring growth, right, there's one of our crazy Feigenbaum kind of studies. Believe it or not, these are actually perfectly realistic levels based on logarithmic growth. Actually, I might even have to change this. You got to play with these a little bit. Yeah, actually, maybe we even want to change that to there. So on a logarithmic basis, that's actually your 2.618. And also notice, if we draw a trend line and we draw a trend line, do you see how the market is kind of almost coming to an apex into that event? So what I've noticed is actually there was a good one. It was that hex. I don't know where the hell it was though, but this was a really good one. Yeah, there we go. Where if we actually looked at this from a logarithmic perspective, the move up here was actually not too crazy. Although I can't remember how the hell I did this. Interesting, like this is a logarithmic basis. Notice we did a Feigenbaum there, and look at the 2.618 totally tagged there. But if you looked at this from a regular basis, oh, well, maybe I have this backwards. How did I do that before? Maybe it was off of these lows. And it's kind of getting off topic, but change that to a log. Yeah, maybe this is a little bit helpful for you to see. So you can see 4.669 was level she traded up to. Notice 2.618. Look how chaotic things got in here. So 4.669, lots of chaos coming into this asset. I think that's actually probably more usable. And also too, notice 4.669 comes right into good old Colin and the dump chaser zone and all that kind of fun stuff. So I guess the point here is that if you're talking about and especially with these cryptocurrencies, a lot of it's like they talk about the network effect and what is relative growth. So if you want to measure relative growth, you use the logarithmic scale. Now, why would you use just a regular scale then? Well, commodity traders, they don't measure growth because every single tick in this asset is exactly the same because you're trading this market on margin. So, if I look at this daily price chart for the S&P 500, if I'm trading this, then it doesn't really matter if we see, 64-point move off of that candle body low for trade location, right? And let's say, I did something, I don't know, like say Feigenbaum up to here. There we go. Something like that. Oh, what a surprise. 2.618. Nailed that. Nice. So 206 tick movement, it doesn't really matter if I do 206 tick movement off of this range here, because every point you're buying this on margin, you put down what's called a performance bond. You basically put down about 5 to 10% of the value of the asset. Call it collateral. And every point movement on this asset, if you buy, then every point movement up on the big contract, this is the micro. So every single point movement that you see on here, and there's 4 ticks for every point. So you can see how it goes like 465 up to 466, right? We'll go like 465.00 and we'll go 466.00. So 1 point is 4 ticks on this micro contract. Every tick is $1.25. So that means 1 point movement is $5 to you and me. Now, it doesn't matter whether the price is down here and we move 50 ticks, or whether the price is here and we move 50 ticks. 1 point is always $5, or, basically, so 1 point is always 4 ticks, and each tick is $1.25. So that's why you'd use a regular scale chart when you're trading futures. And if you're trading stocks, same sort of thing. If you go in and buy the stock on margin, well, every point is exactly the same value as the next point. There's no point in measuring growth. The relative point movement makes no difference whatsoever. Yes, percentage-wise, a movement from 10 cents to 20 cents is basically doubling. A move from 20 cents to 30 cents, that's also a 10-cent movement. That's only a 50% raise. But if you're trading on margin and you're using leverage, every point is a dollar figure, and every point is equal. It doesn't matter where it happens on the price chart. That's why you'd use a regular price chart. What do you think? Does that help answer that question? Is the person who asked that question here? All right. I hope that helps answer that question. If you watch this afterward and you're like, no, that still doesn't help, I'm going to have to attack this question by KK here tomorrow in the Afterparty show Mondays. So if this was you who asked this question, maybe just write a little no, it didn't help answer, or yeah, that makes complete sense. Now I understand why you'd use one versus the other. Just write that down if you could. And we have to circle around because I got to get out of here. I'm already late. And we'll answer KK's question that was posted in the daily brief request room. Technically not on this document tomorrow. So, all right. I don't know. Maybe you guys could post something in the comments below. What did you think was positive out of this? I mean, geez, I've just been talking to you guys for what, 2.5 hours? What was positive? What was good about this? What was constructive? How do we get this message out to the public? Is this 2.5 hours a complete waste of time? Maybe it is. I constantly hear back from the people who do watch these videos that they find huge value in these. So I hear the message that you guys say, but it's fascinating how we bring in a consultant, because like I said, we unfortunately, we've actually got quite a family here at TRI, which means that these people get paid salaries to do the work at TRI, which means that we have to be a for-profit company, which means that when consultants look at efforts, and I mean, I've poured my heart and fucking soul into this place and these videos and giving all this content. And they come along and say, well, you're a loser. Look at the numbers on YouTube. This is a total waste of time. You're wasting money. You shouldn't have these people, paying them to have like 30 viewers of a video. So what the fuck am I doing wrong? I've often said, and I might be getting to this point where this was a message I was asked by Jojo to come and try and make this positive difference in this world. But if this, thing is exhausting itself and it's done, and you would prefer to go off and watch the videos that are done by people that I've educated, and we're just cannibalizing each other now, and there just is no value that you're getting out of listening to the Beamish, then I'm done. I'm going to go off and, did I show you that place in Portugal? Man, look at that. I mean, geez, I want to go and renovate this and turn this into a chalet. That's probably a better use of my time than just sitting here barking, tilting at windmills. I don't know. Call me crazy. All right, everybody. Got to leave it at that. So, Chris, if you could take us on air, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much for the positive feedback, all you people. PMA for the win. You know what your number one job is. Hopefully, I've given you something to think about here. Slow and steady wins the race. And of course, let's see everybody on the site tomorrow. All right. Have yourselves a great day. All the best. And bye for now.